Hello students, our lesson for today is basic concepts of economics. We are going to talk about different kinds of headings and they will all have their own meaning. So let's look into them. The first is want. So what is want? Okay, what are wants? See, wants are something which they keep increasing more and more. So want is something that is not satisfied ever. One want is fulfilled and the other keeps emerging. Okay, so all of us want to live, and for this we need our basic necessities of life like food, clothing and shelter. So human desire for better living, we our desires keep changing. We keep we have this desire of progressing all the time, and in that case there are more and more newer wants. Now wants have been increasing because of the addition of more and more desires, and not only because of this but also because of new inventions, new ideas and new innovations taking place, new discoveries happening. All of this leads to new wants creeping up. Also, when the population increases, the more the people in the country, the more will be the wants of the people. The next is goods. Now goods are defined as any commodity that satisfies a human want and has exchange value. So goods are things that satisfy our wants. These are those things that satisfy our wants and they have an exchange value. Okay, for example, things like furniture, clothes, milk, they will all be considered to be goods or commodities, and they are all tangible materials. Okay, the next is utility. Now utility means the want satisfying capacity of the commodity. How satisfied are you with a particular commodity is the utility of that commodity. So the satisfying power of a commodity is the utility. There are two kinds of utility. The first utility is total utility and the second utility is the marginal utility. Okay, so total utility means the total satisfaction that a consumer gets after consuming all the units or all the goods that he or she has taken. Okay, whereas marginal utility means satisfaction acquired by consuming one additional unit. Okay, so total utility means the complete or the entire satisfaction that a consumer receives, whereas marginal utility means that if in the total number of units another unit is increased, so what satisfaction a consumer gets from that additional unit, that will be marginal utility. The next is market. Now what is the market? So market is a place where exchange of goods and services take place between buyers and sellers. We all know, we all go to a market and we all know that there are lots and lots of buyers and there are so many people in the market to buy those commodities. So market is just a place, it is just an area which where buyers and sellers, they exchange goods and services. Okay, the next is income. So what is an income now? Income of a person is actually an amount. Amount of what? It can be of cash, it can be of goods, which are received by individuals. Okay, so cash or goods received by individuals, or a household pays cash or goods. Okay, so for the purpose of providing factor services. So in a given year, if an individual or a household is receiving an amount of cash or goods for providing factor services, that will be called as personal income. On the other hand, real income is the amount of goods and services the income can buy. So how much can an income buy will be the real income. Okay, and the next one is disposable income. Disposable income is that income which is at the disposal of the earner. That means when out of the total income you subtract the tax, that will be called as disposable income. So disposable income, in other words, is something, whatever is that income which is at the end of the earner. Okay, so income minus tax will be considered as disposable income. Next is value. What is value? Now in ordinary usage, if we see the term, it means value refers to the utility of a commodity. Okay. Firstly, the term value and price are totally, interchangeable. Okay. So for example, let's say if we say that water has great value for life, that means water has great utility. So quite similar to utility, value also refers to the utility or the satisfaction capacity of a commodity. Now there are two views that were given by Adam Smith, and the two views are value in use and value in exchange. So value in use is the want satisfying power of the commodity. Okay, so basically, for example, let's say water tries to quench your thirst. Okay, so the utility of water will be value in use of water. Okay, but this kind of a utility cannot be measured, this kind of a utility cannot be sold. Okay, or in other words, this kind of a value is not of an exchangeable pattern. It is just for the purpose of usage. On the other hand, value in exchange, it is the amount of goods and services which can be obtained from the market in exchange of something. So in other words, we can also say that value in exchange is the price. Okay, price of a particular good. Okay, on the basis on which sales can take place. For example, let's take an example. If 2 meters of cloth can be obtained in exchange of 10 kilogram of wheat, so we can say that the value of 10 kilogram of wheat is equal to 2 meters of cloth. This will be value of exchange or value in exchange. Why? Because you can exchange a particular commodity for the other. The next topic is price. What is price? Now price, it is the amount of money for which a commodity is exchanged. Have you all seen the MRPs written behind a particular packet or a box? That is the price. Okay, so price is that amount of money which you have to pay for a commodity. Okay, so for the purpose of exchange, you pay a certain amount. So in exchange, you are not giving a commodity to buy a commodity, but you are giving money. So the amount of money that you are paying to buy that commodity, that is price. The next is services. What are services? So basically, services are intangible form of economic activity. Okay, something that you cannot see. It is something you cannot store, and there is no ownership to it. So service is actually consumed at the point of sale. Okay, for example, let's say an experienced doctor, okay, or a postal service man, a person who posts or delivers mails. These are all services that a person is giving. Or a person who is visiting a doctor, so that doctor is giving his services to that person. You cannot count the services, the number of services, right? So these are intangible things, you cannot store them. These are things that cannot be seen, that cannot be kept or counted, cannot be measured. So services are such activities, but economic activities. The next is savings. What are savings? Okay, so savings are actually something that are the leftover income. Okay, so savings is whatever is left after income is spent on consumption of goods and services. That will be considered as savings. Basically, savings means whatever is left after you have bought everything that you have to consume, after you paid your taxes, out of your income, when you've done all sorts of consumption, when you've paid for everything, and then what is left will be considered as savings. Next is investment, and investment is spent on goods and services that are not consumed but are durable. You must have heard that people say, oh, I have bought a land for the purpose of investment. Now that land is not consumed. That is not for the purpose of consumption. That is just for the purpose of, putting your money on something. You're spending your money on a particular good or service. So you're not consuming that commodity, but you're just investing in that commodity. And those commodities are durable. Okay. The next is wealth. What is wealth? Now wealth is anything which is useful, whether directly or indirectly, for satisfying human wants. Okay. So anything that is useful for satisfying human wants will be considered to be as wealth. So Everything that has value will be wealth. Okay. Now next is welfare. What is welfare? So basically you must have heard the government is working for the welfare of the society and things like that. So we need to know what is this welfare. So basically welfare means the well-being of the society. Okay. If the society is well off, then there is welfare of the society. Okay. So Adam Smith clearly stated this in his writing. What did he say? That according to him, economic development was measured in terms of riches. Hence, a society with riches and wealth was considered developed. Okay. So according to Adam Smith, he considered wealth and development to be the welfare of the society. Okay. But now it is all about well-being. It's not just wealth, but it is also about well-being. Well-being is considered to be the welfare of the society. In fact, money and riches do not measure prosperity of a country, of a society. But prosperity of a nation can be measured, or we can say is much a deeper concept, and it includes things like reduction in poverty, or removing the rich and poor gap. Okay, giving equal distribution to everyone, not having inequality in male and female. These are all things that count as the prosperity of the country and not only wealth. So welfare means the well-being of the society. Next is production. What is production? Okay, so production, it means the making of goods for sale or rendering of paid services. When something is produced for the purpose of selling it out, or for purpose of paid services, that is called as production. In other words, the activity of increasing the supply of goods can be also called as production. Okay, so production means the making of goods for sale. When you are making a good for the purpose of sale. This is the definition given by Cairn Cross. Okay, another thing that we see about production is that any activity that results in goods and services intended for exchange, that is production being concerned with changing the form of things. The creation of all types of utilities cannot be called production. Okay, so basically only those utilities can be called as production which have value in exchange. Okay, so therefore production is something where there is a process of making of goods and for selling out, or you render paid services. That means, for example, if there is a waiter, he will be paid for his service. So that is also considered as production. Next is factors of production. Okay, what are factors of production? Now anything that contributes to the output, that will be factors of production. Okay, so anything that is contributing to the output, that means to the final product, that will be factors of production. So contributions towards the production process will be factors of production. There are two kinds of factors of production. Number one, factor inputs. Number two, non-factor inputs. So factor inputs include land, labor, capital, entrepreneur or organization. These are all factor inputs. Non-factor inputs would be things like raw materials or fuel. These are all goods that are used for the process of production. The next is consumption. What is consumption? Okay, so we are going to talk about consumption, and it means utilization of goods and services for satisfying human wants. So basically, when goods and services are being utilized, that is consumption. For example, if I buy a new phone and I use it, I start using it for my daily purposes, and my want is being satisfied, that will be consumption. Okay. Next is sustainable consumption. What is sustainable consumption? Let's see. Consumption of goods and services that have minimal impact on the environment. That means those goods and services, consumption of those goods and services which do not, in other words, harm the environment. They are quite equitable in the society. They are socially equitable. That means all kinds of people in the society can use them, and they are quite economical, okay, feasible also, very inexpensive, and everyone can consume them easily. So that is sustainable consumption. Next is primary sector. Okay, so what is primary sector? It has everything to do with agriculture. Okay, so everything to do with agriculture is the primary sector. In other words, primary sector means agriculture. Okay, so basically in your book you will further study about agriculture in detail, but for now we will just see that agriculture is actually the backbone of our economic system. Okay, it is quite a major source of livelihood in India. Okay, and it quite a lot contributes to the income of the country, or the national income. Next we will see about secondary sector, which is all about industry and industrialization. Okay, so basically industry refers to any economic activity which is about the production of goods, extraction of minerals, and provision of services. This will be industry. And what is industrialization? Industrialization is actually a process of establishing and developing manufacturing industries. So it is like a process which is not only confined to the establishment of manufacturing industries, but also involves a change in the whole economic structure of the country. Okay, so it totally develops the entire economy or the entire country. So industrialization is a process where different units of industries are being set up. That is like establishment and development of the industrial units. Next is tertiary sector. Now tertiary sector is totally about the service sector. Service sector would mean over here about different services rendered to the society. Okay, so things offered to the society. For example, banking service, or we can say insurance services, trade and communication, trade and commerce. These are all different kinds of services provided by to the economy or to the society. So there are services which can be divided into two parts: productive services and consumer services. The next is household. What is a household? So basically household is either a person, or it will be a group of people or group of persons who live together. Okay, and they all take collective decisions. And what kind of decisions are they taking? About purchases, about purchasing goods. They are taking decisions about purchasing. The next is firms. What are firms? So basically firms are organizations that provide goods and services to the consumers. Firms are what? They are organizations. Okay, so they are different kinds of manufacturing units, or we can say trading units, transportation, communication facilities. These are all going to be considered as firms. Next is foreign sector. What is foreign sector? So basically foreign sector is concerned with transactions. And transactions with whom? With overseas countries. Transaction between different countries will be foreign sector. Okay, and it also includes import and export of goods and services. It will also include investment and banking transactions. These are all these things that are happening between the different countries, that will be foreign sector. Next is government. What is a government? Basically they are legal authority, they are also political authority. They look after the law of the country, and they try to regulate the orders and situations in the country. Okay, and they also provide basic facilities in the country to the people of the country. The next is economic activities. What are economic activities? Basically economic activities involve income. Okay, so there is involvement of income, or either you are earning income or you are spending money, okay, through exchange of goods and services. These are economic activities. For example, there are different kinds of economic activities like buying and selling of goods and services. These will be considered, transactions will be considered in economic activities. The next is non-economic activities. See, non-economic activities are those activities which have nothing to do with money. They are either done for political reasons, for religious reasons, okay, for charitable purposes, or out of love they are done. Okay, they are done for recreational purposes. That means for the fun purpose, or just to have fun and recreation. These are all considered to be non-economic activities. Now I would refer you to page number 39, where there is a difference between economic and non-economic activities. I would like you to go through this table on page 39 and not only just see the difference but also write it in your register. Next is microeconomics. What is microeconomics? Basically, microeconomics studies not about the whole economy or whole country, but it talks about small parts of the country or of the out of the entire economy. It studies about small parts, or it examines the smaller parts. Okay, so it deals with smaller parts of the economy. Also, microeconomics takes a look at individual consumers or individual industries or individual firms. It deals with individual income, income of an individual or income of an individual household, consumption of an individual, savings of an individual. Okay, so it's totally talking about small units. On the other hand, we have macroeconomics that deals with a broader part. Okay, it studies about the aggregate of the economy, or we can say it studies the economy as a whole. The entire economy is studied over here. It studies about aggregates. Also, it studies about the national income, the general price levels. Okay, it talks about full employment, achieving the full employment situation, and trying to sort out the problem of unemployment. These are all things that macroeconomics studies. And I would like you all to turn your books to page 41, and this page has a table of difference between micro and macroeconomics. So I would like you to read from here. Not only read, but I would like you to make this table in your register. All the best, students.